Good evening and salutations, my GH fans. Porsha and Curtis. Porsha and Curtis both made a lot of good points, you know, because it pretty much just starts off with like Porsha is just at her wits' end with constantly walking on eggshells, constantly wondering, is this going to be the end of her marriage? Or, like, are they going to sit there and try to fix it? She seems like she's trying to do her part, but she doesn't feel the same way about Curtis. And, she pretty much asked at one point, is there any hope for our marriage? Is there anything that I can do to sit there and fix this? And he's like, I don't know if there is, right? And this is when Portia starts to get to a point. She's like, you have ridiculously high standards. And people are human. We make mistakes, right? But, we took vows. We got married. It's for better or worse. And to sit there and try to work on a relationship. And this constant judgingness that he's doing, like, she's just at wit's end with it. And I also get where Curtis is coming from. Because Curtis is like, we're back at the same place again. You would have thought that you would have learned something after the whole Trina thing, but you didn't, and we're right back here. And there's blame to go around or whatever. And Curtis does sit there and say, initially this is my fault because Drew went after you, they get to me. So he is taking that blame on himself. But I also get where Curtis is coming from because he's like, being lied to hurts. Feeling like you can't trust your partner hurts. Feeling like your partner can't trust you with something you're supposed to be in this together, it hurts. So I get where he's coming from as well, right? So they're both going back and forth, and they're both making really good points. And it gets to a point where I swear this was such a calculated move. Okay, this wasn't. When you see the scene, you know what I'm talking about. This was not like some random. Oh, it just happened. No, 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 no. They didn't just happen. Okay, let me tell you something about most men. Food, sex, and peace. Okay, food, sex, and peace. That's what we generally want, right? There's a point where she's like, let's just get back to, where we were having fun or something like that. Or I don't exactly remember what line she said, but I remember the tone that she said to them. Okay. The only thing she was missing was calling that man daddy at that point. Okay. She knew exactly what she was doing. Okay. Because at that point, they just started making out and everything like that. And then at some point, Jordan, she doesn't even knock on the goddamn door. I don't understand what is with this chick. Like, why aren't you knocking? Like, what are you doing? It's like before she was like, oh, I didn't, yeah, I should have called or whatever. It's like, yeah, you should have called and you should have knocked. But, given the conversation that she had with Anna, those things just don't apply. Even though you want to sit there and say that you and Curtis are just friends, you still moving out of pocket. Like, sis, you are just walking in, homegirl's husband, office like that. Like, you don't got that type of privilege. She does. What do you think this is? But anyway, she walks in, and let me tell you something. Portia gave the most illest smile on her face, like, what? Yeah, that's right. Mm-hmm. We did it. We did it. Mm-hmm. And it was, it was absolutely perfect. Um, so I guess you could sit there and say score point for Porsche. All right, I like it. I like her play. I give her credit for that. And of course, Jordan was there telling Anna about what happened at the Metro Court pool and it's throwing her the drink and how she feels about Curtis and everything like that. And it's one of those things where she says that she doesn't want to be that other girl because she doesn't want to be that other woman because she knows exactly how it was for her. But yet, what are you doing? You're just walking on in this man's office, not knocking or anything like that. You know damn well was this a raw business? Because I doubt it was a raw business. Okay, and to give me that friend bullshit. No, we not gonna do that. Now, for the beginning of this episode, it was pretty much kind of fluff, right? There's Natalya. Okay, so unless these conversations happen off screen, I don't understand where she got the idea that Sunny was going to be accompanying with her, was going to be going with her, or anything of that nature, right? Because she said this to Marco, and you know, when I did the live stream that night, we're all just like, when did this man say he was going to go with her? When did that happen? What's what's going on? You want an edible or something? I don't understand. Like, what is going on? Now, during this christening or whatever, Jason and Sunny are talking, and at first, Sunny came from Turner. See, Turner came to Sunny's place because apparently it was a box with a baseball glove, and she was like, "No, no, 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 that ain't cool. That comes across as a bribe. That's federal charges or whatever, right?" And Christina talked to her for a little bit. She left, right? And at that point, Sunny talked to Jason, and Sunny was like, "We got to change our plans for Natalia." I'm like, what does that mean? Does that mean we're gonna be sitting there putting her in the Pine Barrens? Like, what does that mean? But that just meant that they're gonna be bumping up the timeline. So Paul, I guess was his name or whatever, came to the place, came to Natalia's place. Natalya, I know I'm kind of telling this out of order, but Natalya pretty much kind of gave a heads up to Brooklyn about Sonny's second transaction. That the transaction wasn't clean. Okay, it was some dirty money, and just kind of told her how to sit there and deal with it, just to give her a heads up with it. Because to be honest, she didn't have to. Right? Like she got fired, and I mean, honestly, to tell you the truth, she could have just been like, "Nah, F 'em." But she didn't. She gave Brooklyn a heads up, and Brooklyn was like, "See, my mom was sitting there telling. I mean, Tracy was sitting there telling me about this, you know." And I think it wasn't even Sunny. It was like Sunny's like people, whatever, that made this clerical error, right? Then she gets back to the hotel. She's looking at the place where she's about to go, and she's looking at the sand and just kind of, fantasizing about, what she's gonna do there and everything. Apparently, this fantasy has Sunny included because the guy gets to the door and he's like, "All right, so you about to sit there, like pack your stuff, you about to sit there and leave now." And Natalia's like, it's what's going on? Like, I guess it was supposed to be a little bit later on, or I forgot what. I don't know. It's hard to sit there and keep track of days on the show, days, here. But she was just like, this is too soon or whatever. But the guy's like, nah, I'm insisting you gotta sit there and go now. It's like, but where's Sunny at? And the guy's like, yo, Sunny was never like. She keeps sitting there saying, where's Sunny at? How come Sunny's not here? Um, and the guy's like, Sunny was never really scheduled to like leave with you or whatever. So the was like, okay, fine, whatever, give me an hour. And then she goes in the room and she freaks the out. Okay, she's sitting there being like, oh, he lied to me, and I'm gonna be by myself, and it's I did so much for him, and he's gonna abandon me, and I'm like, this is why I'm getting so confused. It's like, did y'all have a conversation when he was going to come down? I mean, I remember him, like, he might, I don't know if he probably said, or, like, I don't know. It's very hard to sit there and keep track of these conversations. It really is, but I don't remember a time where he sat there and said that he's going to be going down there with her or anything like that. He might have sat there and say, I may come and visit you every now and then or whatever. And I don't even think he said that. So I don't understand where she got in her head that he was going with her. But she comes towards the end, like she comes towards the beginning of the christening, and she just shows up there. And Sonny and Jason are looking, and Carly's like, what the f- are you doing? Um, it's like it was just the most awkward moment where everyone's looking like, you weren't invited here. Like, what are you doing here? So that's going on. Sasha tells Cody that there's some weird stuff that's going on as far as the baby being moved around. There's certain stuff in the nursery, whatever. Like there was supposed to be music that was off or something that was off, and she comes back and it's on. And yesterday, apparently, not only was the baby was facing the wrong way from where she left the baby at, but the baby had different clothes, right? And at this point, I'm like, either set up a nanny cam or get Mike on board as far as just something that's going on, right? Maybe get a security guard there or Yuri or somebody, because Cody's like, maybe there's 1,000 different explanations. There's a bunch of people that live here. There's nannies and stuff like that, and there's staff or whatever. Anybody could have picked the baby up, hugged them or whatever. Like there's 1,000 different reasons of why that stuff happened. Which it kind of calms it down a little bit. But I'm like, just be proactive and get a camera there. Get a camera there, or leave and go to Felicia's place. I mean, I think that's kind of on one hand, I think that's kind of drastic, but on the other hand, seeing how she's so shaken up, given the whole thing, like Cody said with Liam and her journey to get there, maybe overreacting, but um, maybe it's less likely to happen if she goes somewhere else. And if it does, get a camp, get a bodyguard, work it out. Um, And then again, there's stuff in the beginning where it's like Michael and Jocelyn are catching up, talking about godmothers and Willow and Drew and them getting married and everything like that, and how it's confusing for the kids because Willow can't be there. Um, Stuff with Felicia and Sasha, as far as Sasha explained to Felicia why did she lie and say that Jason was the father. Gifts or whatever that was sent from Polly and Robert. Um, and Jason and Carly just talking, like just reminiscing. So again, not major stuff, just like I said, the fluff in the beginning. But there's a point where Brooklyn sees Chase and she's sitting there talking about how Deception is in trouble and how she's gonna have to break the news to Maxie because Sonny and the money that wasn't exactly clean. And that's when Chase is like, we can't talk about this right now. Find out when Anna summons Turner, that's the case that Chase is working on. And Anna was upset because Anna's like, yo, listen, I was excluded from this case. You're getting one of my police officers or whatever to like practically make an inroad around me. And she's like, listen, if you have a problem with me, take it to IEB or Internal Affairs. What else? I feel like that's about it. Like, there's a bit of fluff, but there's some really good stuff in this episode too. So yeah. With that being said, I'm gonna go. Anything that I missed, write in the comment section. I will be coming on tonight to do a live stream, 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. I'll be sitting there talking about 4 or 5 of the shows, as you know, as well as yeah. Also, if you're not a member, make sure you join. I do exclusive membership videos, exclusive live streams, and I've also been doing a lot of throwback episodes too, like Passions, and old school GH, and Days, and All My Children Will Like to Live. I do them during the streams, and sometimes I just make separate reaction videos. And it's actually really fun. It's been really fun to sit there and kind of like go back into the early days or whatever of these soaps were. Passions is a crazy show. Um, that's just what I'm going to sit there and say. So yeah, if you're not a member, make sure you join. And yeah, I'll see you in the next video.